So, Helldivers 2 has been around for a while now, and in 2025, it's still dropping bombs, both in-game and online. The big question is whether it's still worth your time, or if the galaxy has already moved on to the next flashy shooter. When you first jump into Helldivers 2, it doesn't take long to realize this game is pure chaos. You and your squad are dropped onto alien worlds filled with giant bugs, killer robots, and laser-shooting freaks, and the mission is simple: spread democracy by blowing everything to pieces. The twist is that friendly fire is always on, so half the time you'll be fighting your enemies, and half the time you'll be dodging your teammates' poorly aimed rockets. It creates those moments where you laugh, scream, and curse all at the same time. It's messy, it's ridiculous, and it's the reason so many people keep coming back. The best part of Helldivers 2 is still the co-op mayhem. This is a game that thrives on teamwork, but not the polished kind you see in tactical shooters. This is the kind of teamwork where you accidentally call in an airstrike on your friend, or drop a giant mech from orbit directly onto your squad. Those accidents aren't bugs, they're features, and they make every mission feel unpredictable. Even when the mission type is technically the same, the experience changes because you never know who's gonna mess up first. Another thing that's kept Helldivers 2 alive into 2025 is the galactic war system. This isn't just about completing a checklist of missions. Everything you do feeds into a larger war effort, and planets can actually be saved or lost based on the community's progress. In the past year, we've even seen wild events like the Illuminate storyline, where the developers literally blew up a planet. Stuff like that makes you feel like part of something bigger, like your squad's small victories actually matter on a massive scale. One reason people stuck with the game instead of dropping it early was how the developers handled balance. In the early days, weapons felt weak and frustrating, and it almost killed the fun. Then came what players called the buff era, where the studio turned things around and made players feel strong again. That approach has carried into 2025. When you drop into a mission, you feel like a super soldier, not just cannon fodder for alien bugs. There's also always a reason to come back. The game keeps rotating new gear, warbonds, and events to keep things fresh. In 2025, the developers even pulled in a Halo ODST crossover, along with a legendary warbond, which adds new cosmetics and toys to mess around with. And with the Xbox launch happening this year, there's a new wave of players joining the fight. That means fuller lobbies and more variety in the people you end up playing with, whether they're hardcore mission-focused veterans or total jokers who can't stop blowing up their own squad. Of course, Helldivers 2 is far from perfect, and you should know that before you dive in. The biggest issue people still talk about in 2025 is performance. When battles get really intense, the game leans heavily on your CPU, and frames can drop harder than a supply pod on your teammate's head. The developers have mentioned things like DLSS and FSR as possibilities for the future, but the priority has been fixing the deeper performance problems first. Translation: don't expect miracles if you're running this game on older hardware. Another headache is how often this game gets caught up in review bomb drama. In 2025, there was another wave of negative reviews tied to bugs and event handling. Instead of ignoring it, the developers leaned into the joke and actually released a review bomb cape in the game. On one hand, that's hilarious and perfectly in line with the game's humor. On the other hand, it's also a reminder that people are still annoyed about those same problems. Then there's the issue of mission variety. Even with all the events and new enemy types, a lot of missions boil down to defending a spot, escorting something fragile, or blowing up an objective. If you're a casual player hopping in a few times a week, the chaos keeps it interesting. But if you're grinding every single day, the repetition starts to show through pretty quickly. Balance is also a moving target. One week, your favorite weapon feels like a god-tier destroyer of worlds, the next, it feels like a Nerf gun. Stratagems get back and forth in power depending on the latest patch. Some players love that unpredictability, while others get annoyed that the gear they invested time into suddenly feels worthless. It's the classic life service balancing act, and Helldivers 2 hasn't fully solved it. Despite those issues, the community is what really keeps this game alive. Players don't just tolerate the chaos, they embrace it. The memes, the clips of squads accidentally wiping themselves out, the running jokes about managed democracy, it all fits perfectly with the game's tone. Even when things go wrong, people lean into the humor, and that makes Helldivers 2 feel more like a shared culture than just another shooter. So here's the bottom line. If you want a polished, perfectly balanced shooter where nothing ever goes wrong, Helldivers 2 will probably drive you nuts. But if you're looking for a game where teamwork is chaotic, hilarious, and unpredictable, this is still one of the best in 2025. The Galactic War keeps you invested, the events give you reasons to return, and the Xbox release means the community is only growing. On the flip side, you'll still have to put up with performance dips, repetitive mission structures, and balance changes that feel like a roller coaster. If those things sound like deal breakers, you might want to wait and see how the game develops further. But here's the honest truth. The flaws are part of the charm. Helldivers 2 is messy, explosive, and sometimes broken, but it's also one of the most entertaining co-op experiences out there right now. It's the kind of game where you win together, fail together, and accidentally obliterate each other with orbital strikes in the most spectacular way possible. So, is Helldivers 2 worth playing in 2025? Absolutely, as long as you know what you're signing up for. Expect laughter, betrayal by friendly fire, and more explosions than your graphics card can handle. Democracy never looks so messy, and that's exactly why it's still fun.